So, since we are recording the first episode of the Kindness Project...
How do you think it's going so far?
Not bad.
It's going alright.
It's going alright. So, why are we doing this Kindness Project?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you.
Okay. So, I think... so, what drives me... one of the things that drives me as an individual is making my kids proud. It's probably the thing that drives me the most as a person. So making you, Charlotte, and Sophie really, really proud. And that means a bunch of different stuff when I look at my life. But one of the things that it definitely means is being a role model and being a generally better and kinder person. I actually think having children and being married to your mum, Cassie, it gives me motivation to be better. I think Paolo Nutini put it best. He's got an awesome song on one of his albums called Better Man, and he just talks about the fact that the women in his life make him want to be better. And certainly that's the truth in my life, because the girls in Team Dames, you, Sophie and Mummy, all want to make me be a better person. And better for me doesn't mean just wealthier or just more successful in a financial perspective. It means being kinder, being more considerate, being more loving, being more generous, always continuing to improve. So I think for me, the reason we're starting this is because I want to try and be, generally speaking, a lot more kind as a person.
Right, so I know you're writing a book on kindness. So what made you want to start writing the book? Because obviously the book is what inspired this project.
Yep, so the book inspired the podcast.
But what inspired the book?
What inspired the book? Again, it was just one of those things where I was looking at my life and saying, what do I need to probably get better at? And actually, the area that I wanted to focus on was just generally being a kind of person. Now, the reality of that is writing for me is a big motivator. So if I've got, and you like writing as well, Charlotte, don't you? But if I'm writing about something, I'm then more intentional about performing acts that I can write about in my real life. And I don't know about you, but writing always allows me the time and the space to be quite reflective.
I think I use writing more as a ventilation.
Yeah.
It's like I'm always...
So it's an expression, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm always really happy about most stuff. Unless I haven't written for a week, and then I feel like flopping on a sofa.
But you know what? I agree. I think writing and it depends whether you're into it or not, and you need to be into it or not. But writing is incredibly cathartic. So just sitting down, expressing your ideas, just writing 500,000, 1,500 words, just trying to explain what's in your head is an incredible. Even if nobody reads it, just doing that is an incredibly therapeutic thing to do.
Explaining what's in your head isn't always the easiest thing to do.
True.
So you write a lot more factual stuff.
Yep.
I write
fiction.
Entirely, all my work is fiction.
Yep.
Except my school essays.
Yep.
But it's all kind of people that kind of represent certain parts of me as characters.
Yeah.
And
it's a manifestation of your inner self,
sort
isn't
of
it?
Like all of my dark energy goes into my writing.
It certainly does. I've read a few of your stories, and it certainly does.
All of my dark energy goes into my writing, and then I can just be my happily, bubbly self.
But the challenge that I've got at the minute, especially with the Kindness Project, is I'm sort of 15,000 to 18,000 words through the book, and I'm stuck. So part of the reason why we're starting this podcast is not only to share some awesome stories of goodness and kindness and share some ideas about how we could all be kinder people, as well as share the ideas of people who really know about kindness and really have studied kindness. But it's also to help me get rid of my writer's block, if I'm being honest. If I can start this podcast and finish off the book as part of the project, I'd be over the moon on that. So Yeah.
Okay, so why is kindness important to you?
So I think, and we'll talk about this in a later podcast, kindness is important to me for a number of reasons. Firstly, I think actually kindness is a really selfish thing to do. And the reason I say that, I'll give you an example. We did some work sponsoring kids at your school through financial education.
Yep.
So we came to an arrangement at school where we were sponsoring kids to have financial education. And when I had that agreement, it cost me some money to sponsor the kids. It will cost me some time to go in and talk to the kids and help them understand a bit more about money.
Yep.
But it made me feel better. So I think kindness is an incredibly good thing to do, but it's also selfish.
Because it makes us feel better. But I think that's what inspires people to commit more acts of kindness.
I suppose there's two sides to that coin, right? Because I think kindness is selfish because it makes you feel better. The science, and we'll explore this in a future podcast, says kindness triggers chemicals in your brain that make you feel better. But then I suppose the question that I ask in my head is, why is everybody not more kind?
I don't know. I suppose some people kind of just haven't tried it yet.
Well, they haven't given it a go.
Yeah.
Is that what you think?
Yeah.
Well, you could be right. And maybe if we encourage a couple of people to just give kindness a try, we're sort of doing our job. Yeah.
Give kindness a try.
Give kindness a try.
Give kindness a try.
Hashtag give kindness a go.
Okay,
Hashtag have you tried kindness yet?
Well, would you like to order some kindness?
With your burger and chips, would you like some kindness?
Okay, so how do the kind acts of others affect your life?
You know what? I wouldn't be where I am today without just people being generally awesome. And I look at how many opportunities that I've had throughout my life. And I think there's a certain argument that says you've got to take those opportunities when they come along. But certainly some of the employment opportunities, some of the work opportunities I've had, people have given me chances when, frankly, I probably at the time didn't deserve them. I've always throughout school I've always been encouraged. I think we live in a country where society is generally kind, so it's really difficult to put my finger on one specific act of kindness. But there's hundreds of small acts of kindness that happen each and every day that you just sort of ignore because it's just standard, right? I mean, what do you think was the kindest thing someone's done for you?
I think I usually tell people don't get me anything for my birthday. Don't get me anything.
Why do you do that?
I don't think people should kind of waste their money on me, I suppose. But then I come in on my birthday this year, and I come home with 2 bags of presents and cards.
Awesome.
And I kind of felt kind of flattered.
Oh, flattered.
You know?
Yeah. So because you weren't expecting anything.
I wasn't expecting it because I told people not to get me anything.
Gotcha. But how did that make you feel?
It made me feel really good, actually. Yeah.
Cool. And what's the kindest thing you reckon you've done for somebody else?
I do not know.
Okay. It's really interesting how we're able to see the acts of kindness that people do for us, but when it comes to the acts that we do for other people, actually we have this mental block around it. Yeah. So yeah, that's the reason we're doing it.
Right. So, what is the kindest thing anyone's ever done for you then?
Well, but this is a tough question because I think for me it's not the big extravagant acts of kindness that matter. It's the tiny little acts of kindness that people do throughout the years to just make your life generally better. So I'm really struggling putting my finger on
just
one specific act of kindness because there's definitely thousands over my sort of 40 odd years of life that have contributed to helping me in some way.
That was That's my last question.
That was your last question. So hopefully that explains a little bit about why we're running the Kindness Project podcast. We're going to be talking in future weeks about the science of kindness, why kindness impacts your brain in a positive way. We're going to be going to Scandinavia to explore what the Scandinavians see as kind, because they've got a really interesting insight into kindness. We're going to be talking about some of the acts of kindness we're trying to do, Charlotte and I are trying to do, to make the world a better place. And we're in the process of getting some really interesting people who have a really good insight into what kindness means to come on the podcast and share their experiences.
Doesn't mean you can't share.
Yeah, certainly, we think you should share as well. So feel free to send in your kindness stories, send in your random acts or intentional acts of kindness, because we talked about this earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
So I think actually what I struggle with is random acts of kindness, because I'm a bit of a planner, and I need to plan my acts of kindness intentionally to make sure they happen. So let us know what your random or intentional acts of kindness are, and please let's make this a community of kindness where we can share some of the awesome stuff we're doing. Community of kindness, do you like that?
Yeah, there's a ring to it.
Cool, I like that. And thanks for your questions, Charlotte. I really appreciate it.
No problem, Bob.
Who's Bob?
I don't know.